This campaign won't be the first time Congressman Paul Ryan is taking on President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden. During a 2010 healthcare summit, Congressman Ryan sliced apart Obamacare.
We agree that status quo is unsustainable. It's got to get fixed. It's bankrupting families. It's bankrupting our government. It's hurting families with pre-existing conditions. We all want to fix this, but we don't think that this is the answer to the solution, and all of the analysis we get proves that point. Now, I'll just simply say this, and I respectfully disagree with the Vice President about what the American people are or are not saying, or whether we're qualified to speak on their behalf. So we are all representatives of the American people. We all do town hall meetings. We all talk to our constituents. And I've got to tell you, the American people are engaged. And if you think they want a government takeover of health care, I would respectfully submit you're not listening to them. So what we simply want to do is start over, work on a clean shaded paper, move through these issues step by step, and fix them and bring down health care costs and not raise them. And that's basically the point.
Washington Examiner chief political correspondent Byron York was at today's Romney-Ryan rally in Manassas, Virginia. He joins us. Nice to see you, Byron.
Good to be here.
Before we get to the rally, I mean, to the extent that body language or anything, it didn't look like President Obama or Vice President Biden were particularly interested in what the representative had to say.
No, Paul Ryan also said Obamacare was full of gimmicks and smoke and mirrors, and if you looked at the look on President Obama's face, I think you saw how it was registering with him. They have been sniping at each other back and forth for quite a while. That was one of the early examples. Then we had the president give a speech about the Ryan budget, invited Paul Ryan to sit in the audience, and then completely denounced the budget.
Why did he do that? I mean, I remember everyone sort of gasped, but it seemed rude. I mean, it's one thing if you don't like someone's policy, but he was sort of a special guest of the president's.
Right.
And then the president just, eviscerated the I mean, it was insulting, I thought. I mean, disagree with him, that's fine, but it was something more than that.
Well, here again, we'd had this bad blood from the gimmicks and smoke and mirrors about Obamacare, and certainly the president is certainly free to say whatever he wants to say about the Ryan budget. It was personally inviting Paul Ryan to sit in the audience while he did it.
Do you think I mean, I never could figure that one out, because it's obviously stuck with me because it was so rude to the congressman, even though I disagreed with him. Do you think that was a staff error, or do you think that was deliberate by the president?
I tend to think the president knows what he's doing. Whenever he says something like that, he clearly intended, I think, to do that. And since then, the president has been talking a lot about the budget, and he's said many times similar versions of what he said there, which is there's nothing serious about a budget that takes money from Medicare to give it to the very rich in the form of big tax cuts. I mean, he's said that over and over and over, and you're going to hear it forever until November.
Talking about today, and you've covered this race a lot since the beginning. Was there any appreciable difference? I assume that's always exciting when someone new gets in the race, but is it more than that or not?
I thought there was a real energy boost. This was actually the last of 3 rallies of the day. It was in Manassas, Virginia, outside Washington. Big energy boost. Romney seemed to be loose. Ryan seemed to be loose. Their message seemed to go together. And Romney actually did quite well. You know, he's been trying to boil down his message. He got a lot of criticism over in recent weeks that, he'd been very good at criticizing President Obama, but he hadn't been explaining what he would want to do. Well, he's boiled his 59-point economic plan down to 5, and he really was hitting those points very hard today.
All right, the women's vote, and I may be the only one who's looking at these polls. I don't think so, because President Obama has certainly spent a lot of time campaigning, trying to get the women's vote. Huge margins in the swing states with President Obama over Governor Romney. Is that really such a serious issue, or am I overlooking at these numbers, number one? And number two, does Congressman Ryan in any way help him?
Well, that's what's making the difference in the swing states, is that difference between...
So it's big.
These
numbers are big, okay.
Absolutely. And if Mitt Romney does not win Florida, if he does not win Ohio, he won't win the presidency.
And is it the women? I mean, why are the women not wild about him and they're wild about President Obama in these large margins?
Well, you see the White House directing a lot of its appeals to women, this whole war on women stuff, this whole contraception stuff. The Obama campaign is running a lot of ads on the contraception issue, as a matter of fact. So, I mean, this is something they're pushing very hard. It may not be the big issue of the day, but it's something that's always going on inside that campaign.
Well, but I mean, these are huge differences. I mean, in Wisconsin, it's a 23-point difference between the two candidates. I mean, Ohio, it's 58 to 37%. All these states, Pennsylvania, 59 to 35. These are giant margins.
Well, the place where you would be obvious for Ryan to help would be in Wisconsin, and maybe more women in Wisconsin know who Paul Ryan is. They know his reputation, and he could do better with him there. But who solves that problem in Ohio? Who solves that problem in Florida? Don't know.
I mean, everyone's very, interested in today's news because there's a vice presidential candidate. Karl Rove tells me that the vice presidential candidate, though, it turns out to be irrelevant come Election Day.
Well, it's funny that I was thinking back to the first rally that John McCain and Sarah Palin gave in Virginia right after she had been introduced at the
She bumped him up 6 points.
Absolutely. The excitement was huge. The excitement was actually so big that the crowd cheered when she was speaking, and then when she stopped speaking and McCain began speaking, a lot of them actually began to leave. I mean, there was a huge gap in there. And this case is, I think, bringing a lot of new popularity to Mitt Romney.